Hey, this is Laurie, and today's thought. This is going to be a little bit of a long one because I have several things I want to accomplish. One, I want to just do a little summary of 5 of the people who have helped me along the way in my journey to changing my mindset. And then I want to do a little story. And then I want to actually demonstrate a technique that I have learned recently. So first of all, let me start with naming a few people. Diane Hochman, Dr. Faith Shell. Now the thing that these two have in common, and I am really just talking about the tip of the iceberg with each of the people I'm going to mention. But one of the things that I have learned from both of these women is I've been challenged to think in terms of who I am and what I stand for. Now, the little story. My parents are Methodist ministers, so I grew up with this idea of remember who you are and what you represent. I heard that I don't know how many times, hundreds, probably thousands, and I hated it. I despised it. And the reason I despised it is that, much as I love my parents, the message I got, whether intentional or not, was that who I am is the daughter of a Methodist minister, and what I represent is them. And so when I'm out in public, that I had better be remembering who I am, which is their daughter. So it just, I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. It felt to me as though, especially my dad, was more concerned about appearances than he was about who his daughter was. Now, the nice story, the nice ending to this story is that before he died, I went to church, and the Holy Spirit slammed me against the wall and said, you have to tell him that you forgive him. And you have to tell him what you're forgiving him for. So I went home that day and I said, Dad, you know, all those years when you said, remember who you are and what you represent, I felt like you were being the minister rather than my father. And I felt as though you didn't really, really care about who I am. And bless his heart, he started crying. And a bit later in the day, he came to me and said, Laurie, I need to apologize. He said, and from this day on, I am, first of all, your father. I am so grateful that I had that moment with him. And there was a tremendous amount of healing that happened, but I still hadn't claimed that saying as mine until a few weeks ago when I got challenged by these 2 incredible women, and I've been thinking about it ever since. And claiming it as mine and asking, who am I? And what do I stand for? And just reframing that whole experience. It's been a liberating thing. So the second person that I want to talk about is Michael Bernoff. Michael Bernoff introduced me to the idea of progress. You make goals, you set goals, and usually they're big ones. And, you get up in the morning and you don't accomplish that whole set of goals, and you're setting yourself up for failure. So Michael says, instead of setting a goal, set a direction and the intention to make some progress toward it. That means that if you get up in the morning and you do one small thing, For example, if my big goal is to be a public speaker and motivate and help thousands of people, if I do some research about the local Speakers Bureau, I've made progress. I've succeeded for that day. And it makes a huge difference. Huge. I can't even begin to tell you how much difference. Third person is Laurie Hochman. And here's one of the things that I learned from Larry. Success is based on repetition, emotion, and action. Repetition, emotion, and action. You see how it begins to build on the other people? And really, again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So the last person I want to mention is a man named Darren Little. And from Darren, I learned the difference between an affirmation and a declaration. Back to what Larry said about repetition and emotion. A declaration is something that you say to yourself, or you say out into the universe, similar to an affirmation. But the difference is you reach down inside yourself and you grab hold of that emotion and you bring it. You bring it. So I'm going to do a declaration. I'm going to do an affirmation first and a declaration, and see if you can tell the difference. And this is something that I really recommend that you do. Okay, so my affirmation is, I, Laurie Owen, am open to receiving abundance. That's the affirmation. Changing it to a declaration. I reach down and I remember times in my life when I have been abundant, when I've experienced abundance, when I've experienced what it's like to feel alive. And I say, I, Laurie Owen, am now open to receiving abundance. I, Laurie Owen, am now receiving abundance. You see the difference? One of them is passive, and the other is you reach down and you grab that emotion wherever you can find it, and you say it out into the universe. And it's like magic. It's magic. And then when you repeat it, and then you attach actions to that, even if they're tiny little actions that move you toward your goal, a little progressive moment at a time, you begin to notice a difference. And if you, on top of that, you really ask yourself, who am I? And what do I stand for? I am a child of the universe. I am Laurie Owen. I am a person who has experienced abundance, knows how to receive it, and will continue to do so and pass that on to others. And I stand for my abundance, your abundance, and vital living. That's what I stand for. How about you? This is my thought of the day. Talk to you later.